Tabernacle of Praise has taught me how to become strong in prayer, how to be a worshiper, how to come out of my shell. And because she saw the Christ in me and the difference in me, I believe that drew her. Here, am I right about it?
Yes, you
are. Okay.
When we stepped into this place, we just felt the love and I felt home. And my spirit told me, this is where you should be.
This church impacted me to grow more in the Lord, to keep you walking in the right path with God.
Every Sunday, that is the church that we are. We're here with our arms outstretched. We're loving on our community. We're loving on each other.
The spirit moves in this place. It moves here.
You could be church here and nobody knows about the goodness of Jesus unless you can demonstrate it out in the world. And we're able to do that.
We are just so honored and blessed that we have the opportunity to share with you and to express the love of Christ. And we would love for you to come out and visit us and see the work that God is doing in our lives. And I'm so excited when you come, you will discover what He is doing in your life and what He will do in your life. So why don't you come out and visit us here in the city of Buffalo. We're located at 319 Northland Avenue, Buffalo, New York, right on the corner of Northland and Wohlers, the big red brick building with our sign at the top. We would love to see you. We love you, and we know that God has something awesome for you.
But we love people. Please hear us when we say that you are welcome to join us every Sunday at 12 o'clock noon, 319 Northland Avenue. We are expecting great things from God. Why don't you come and be a part? You heard the testimonies from the people. Now come experience for yourself. Great people go to the top.
Out of the batter, and they do not blend it, they just mix it. They don't disturb the shape or the texture of the chocolate chip, they just mix it in there. What's so interesting is that even when the chocolate chip is placed inside of the fire, it's not burned. It never loses its texture. It stays the same. And even after the finished product of the cookie has happened, you can still notice the chocolate chip. You can still notice that the cookie has the chocolate chip because it's not blended in. Much like us, the Bible tells us that we are in the world and not of the world. The chocolate chip is in the cookie, but it is not of the cookie.
Yes, sir. Come on, man. Hey.
It is not an unrecognizable ingredient. And we are called to be recognizable people in this world. God has called Christians to be people who are recognizable. We are to be like chocolate. Similar to Daniel, in Daniel chapter 1, he finds himself in Babylon working for King Nebuchadnezzar. And he's given luxury, he's given all these different things, but Daniel decides that he will not be moved or fazed by this culture. He won't be rattled, he won't be moved by this luxury and what people tell him, but Daniel decides that he's going to stay faithful to God. Daniel makes the decision that he will keep his form and distinction. He will be like chocolate. Even when the world around him is unrecognizable and the culture around him is changing, he makes the decision to be like chocolate. He begins to be recognizable in a world that is unrecognizable. I want to tell you that we are called to be the chocolate chips in the cookie dough of this world. We are to mix in, not blend in. We keep our form remaining completely distinct and separate. But yet, we are what make this world great. Daniel stayed faithful to God even though the lions that surrounded him, which were the people. We are all surrounded by lions. Lions are people who are considered ones who want to destroy and rattle your faith in God. You have lions in your school. You have lions sometimes in your work. You have people who want to take you away from your belief and your firm stance in the Lord. You are chocolate among lions. But even though Daniel lived among lions, he stayed intact. He kept his distinction, and he remained like a chocolate chip. At the dinner in Daniel chapter 1, Daniel had to make a choice. He had to decide whether or not he would serve the Lord or serve the world. He had to make the decision if he would allow for himself to be involved in the king's dinner. He had to make the decision whether or not he would be involved in this new changing culture. He had to make the decision if he was going to be blended in or mixed in. He had to decide if he was going to be a lion or a mere chocolate chip. He had to make a choice. And I want to tell you that the truth of the matter is that Daniel was not persecuted for his choice. Oh, Daniel was pressured by the culture. There's a difference between persecution and pressure. Let me mind you that persecution is the pain of the choice, but pressure is the push from your choice. We are living in a world where they want to push you from your choice. They don't want to make you feel the pain of your choice. They want to make you reconsider your choice. Yeah. And I want to tell you, young people, that God is not a God to be reconsidered. Yeah. He's not a God to think twice on. You don't need to take a double take on God. That's right. That's right. Just one time he'll prove himself to you, and that's enough. That's right. We live in a world where people are trying to push you from your faith in God. They're trying to make you choose against him. We are living in a world where we're not persecuted, we're just pressured. We're under a lot of pressure to make a choice, young people. We are under pressure to do things that are not like God. We are under pressure to operate in things that are not like God. And let me tell you something about the enemy. The enemy knows that once you are saved forever. That's right, that's right. But the enemy knows also that he cannot put you in a heaven or a hell. So the enemy's goal is to not make you renounce your faith. The enemy's goal is to make you embarrass God. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say it again so y'all can really get that. His goal is not for you to renounce your faith and to be blasphemous toward God. He wants you to embarrass God. He wants you to say you're redeemed but act anything but. He pressures you into making decisions that are not like God. But I want to tell you, do not be swayed by this world. Because the world may pass away, but the word of God stays forever. And regardless of what happens in this world, regardless of what goes on, young people, I want to tell you, make a choice. Make a choice. Joshua 24, verse 15, it says, now choose ye this day who you will serve. But if I was like Joshua, I would say, but in this house we serve the Lord. And in this house we do what God calls us to do. Make a choice, but if I can give you some advice, choose God. Because the way the world is going, you don't want to be on the other side. Make a choice. Daniel had to first make a choice. Sometimes we struggle with our choice because for some reason we sink under pressure. We can't sink under pressure because that's what the enemy wants to happen. He wants you to sink under pressure so that way he can convince you that God has forsaken you. But I want to tell you that in your choosing, God is with you the whole time. And I'm going to tell you that even if your choice is made and you make a mistake, God's going to be there to pick you back up. That's right. That's right. So don't let the pressure make you believe that God is absent during your present trouble. You got to make a choice. You got to make a decision. Daniel made his decision. Daniel knew what he wanted to do. So Daniel, in this moment, he decides, I will serve the Lord. He says that I'm going to be connected to God for the rest of my life because he did not eat the king's food. That's going to be important in a minute, why he did not eat the king's food. Once he made his choice Pastor McCarley, he committed to his choice. I want to tell you that you can make a choice and not be committed to it. We have people who are Christians, but they're not committed to being Christians. Was that too heavy for you? We have people who are committed to, we have people who have decided they will serve the Lord, but they only go to church on Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter. I'm sorry if that was too heavy for you, but this is just the truth. When you choose God, I want to make some advice for you that when you choose him, you have to go all the way. You have to commit 100%. So if you look at what happens in Daniel chapter 1, when he makes his choice, he says that I will not eat the king's food. But not only did he not eat the food, but he made the decision to be exempt from the table. When you commit to God, I want to tell you that there are some things and some people you cannot be attached to no longer. I want to tell you that when you commit to God, there are some things and some behaviors you cannot be a part of any longer, because that will mess up and compromise your commitment. I want to tell you that commitment and compromise cannot exist in the same place. You cannot compromise with God. We have people trying to cut a deal with the Lord, but he don't work like that. You can't cut a deal with God. Either you're in or you're out. I don't know who I'm talking to because I'm not excited about this, but can I tell you something real quick? Is that when Daniel committed to God, he said, I'm going to do it God's way. If you look at Daniel chapter 1, verses 14 to 16, even though he did not eat the king's food, they gave him something to eat. They gave him fruits and vegetables. That is the origin of our Daniel fast. That he gave him fruits and vegetables. And the text says, and that after 10 days of eating just fruits and vegetables, Daniel looked better than ever. And Daniel looked better than everybody else. What I want to suggest is that when you do it God's way, he's going to make you look good. You ain't got to worry about making a name for yourself. You don't got to worry about staying relevant, because when you do it God's way, oh, shucks. When you do it God's way, he already made you relevant. You're already important. So I want to tell you that when you commit to God, here is just my level of truth, that when you commit to God, shame, grief, and disappointment don't exist. Because God's not going to let that exist while you are representing him. But I want to tell you that also, if you look at the text, Pastor Charles, if you look at the text, he did not compromise because God gave him boundaries. God gave him some boundaries. God gave him some instruction. And what I want to suggest to you is that when God gives you boundaries, don't move outside of them. That's right. Because the boundaries are not to stunt your growth, but it is to grow you to be more like him. And to make it even clearer for you, that these boundaries, watch this now, these boundaries are your protection. Because when the enemy catches you out of bounds, oh, wait a minute, who plays basketball? Okay, all right. When the ball goes out of bounds, it is a turnover. And the other team has an opportunity to score. When you step out of bounds with God, the enemy has an opportunity to now pressure you into feeling bad about your choice. But when you are committed, stay committed to the boundaries. Don't move outside of the boundaries. And if you look at Daniel stuck with that fruits and vegetables because he knew that God was going to make him look good. And God was going to make him relevant. And I want to tell you that we've got churches nowadays who are concerned about being relevant, but when you're connected to God, you're always relevant. When you worship a God who sits high and looks low, you always relevant. You ain't got to worry about how many people in the seats. You ain't got to worry about what nobody say about you, because you are already looking good, because you are committed to God. You committed to doing it his way. He was committed to doing it his way. But I want to tell you, Tabernacle of Praise, that I'm not a prophet, but I believe just something, that there's a reason why you were placed on this corner. There's a reason God called you to this corner, because when he committed to his choice, he was connected with people. Daniel wasn't the only one at the table who did not eat the king's food. Oh, should I remind you that he had 3 young boys with him who did not eat the king's food? I want to tell you that when you are committed, you got to get connected to people who are committed with you.
Yeah.
And don't be connected to people who are going to try to compromise your commitment. And I want to tell you that the reason you're sitting on this corner is because God is telling you, get connected so that way you can help somebody else get committed. And the reason we are like this, y'all are really a close-knit family, I see. Tap the person you sit next to. I'm connected so we can stay committed. We connected so that way we can stay committed. And I believe that you're on this corner because the more that people see that you're committed, your light will begin to shine brighter. Oh, shucks, that's good preaching right there. When you are committed, your light will shine brighter. And your light will shine brighter because God is being glorified. And when God is being glorified, you ain't got to worry about nothing, but all you got to do is just give him some praise. And I just want to remind you that when you commit to God, do all the way in. Don't be halfway, go all the way in. And I want to tell you that it has worked out for people in the past. That when you commit 100% to God, God commits 100% to you. Daniel made the choice. Daniel was committed. Daniel got connected. I'm going to tell you something about that connection. That oftentimes we surround ourselves with people who look good to us. Uh-huh. And sometimes, you ever heard the terminology eye candy? We get attracted to people and attracted to things because of eye candy. But the issue is that sometimes we get attracted to people because of eye candy and not soul food. And we mess around and our eyes get diabetic and our soul is anorexic.
That's good, son. I'm going to preach that next week.
No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Because somewhere along the line, you done got connected because it looked good. Not because your soul is being fed. Because you remember what happened to Adam and Eve in the garden. She bit the apple because it looked good.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Everything that sparkles isn't gold. And everything that's good ain't God. Don't be connected to people because they look good. Because if that was the case, I don't mean to get political, but if that was the case, and we could tell by a person looking good, we can tell that person was good by their looks, well, we have a president who is rich, filthy rich, billions of dollars. And to the naked eye, billions of dollars look good.
Real good. Yes, sir.
But when he got into that Oval Office, we found out that he was nothing but eye candy. Now we trapped for 4 years because we think that it just looks good. Don't mess around and get attached to people for so long because they look good.
That's right.
But make sure you are connected to people who are going to feed your soul.
That's right.
Make a decision. I'm going to be diabetic or anorexic. Make a decision. And I've come to the point where I don't need my sight that much. Because I live by faith and not by sight. And if my eyes are closed and the Lord tells me this one, I'm going to go with that one. I don't need my eyes to tell somebody look good because I'm dependent on God to tell me that this is the thing I'm supposed to be connected to. So when you get committed to God, make sure you are connected to somebody who don't just look good.
Yes, sir.
That's good preaching. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. So, sit with me now. He made the choice. He made the commitment. He got connected. Watch this, y'all probably gonna shout after this and we're gonna have a good time when we out of here. And God became constant.
Yeah.
Oh, I already know where I'm about to go with this.
Yeah.
I like y'all. Y'all read your Bibles. Yeah, I already know where I'm about to go with this. because of Daniel's faithfulness, God was faithful to him.
That's right. That's right.
Because of Daniel's righteousness, God treated Daniel justly. What I want to show you is that faithfulness, right, will always lead to God being faithful to you. So now let me run you through the text a little bit. If you look at Daniel's friends, the three young boys, when they went through the fire, they did not get burned because God showed up. And God showed up because they were faithful. And I want to tell you that when you are faithful, God is faithful to show up. And I like the way Daniel operated in all of these moments where God had to show up. I'm going to go over in a minute, but I want to tell you that Daniel had a Selah attitude. Let me mind you, Daniel watched his three friends go through the furnace, and he was fine. Daniel sat in the lion's den, and he did not worry because he had a Selah mentality. Daniel had to predict the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar, and he was okay because he had a Selah mentality. What does that mean? That means that when trouble arises, I'm going to chill out. Because I know that in the time of present trouble, the Lord will be a present help. I want to tell you that when trouble arises, I can count on the Lord to show up for me. Because as long as I'm faithful to him, and as long as I do what God asks me to do, he will always show up for me. He'll always make a way out of nowhere. He'll always be a heart fixer, a mind regulator, a bridge over troubled water. He'll always be all that I need him to be. And I want to tell you that when the three Hebrew boys in the fire, they did not get burned because God showed up. And I want to tell you that when the king's dream had to be predicted, Daniel didn't die, nor was he worried because what God showed up. And when I want to tell you that when you're faithful to God, God's going to be faithful to show up for you. And I don't mean to be messy or shady, but maybe the reason things ain't working out because you haven't been that faithful. Oh, shucks, I feel like preaching. Come on, I don't understand when people believe that God is not a coupon God. He's not a buy one, get one free. You can't buy salvation and expect to get your rest of your life free. If you committed to this thing, you got to be all the way in. And because Daniel was constant with God, God was constant with Daniel. And if you are faithful to God, God will be faithful to you. And if you stay faithful and if you stay committed, God's going to commit himself unto you. Oh, Tabernacle of Praise, I want to tell you something real quick. That I believe that y'all call yourself the top, but I see the hashtag great people go to the top. And what I want to tell you, this is so good, it's so good, that you going to the top, not because of your power, not because of your finances, but you going to the top because you've been faithful to him. And I want to tell you that as long as you are faithful at 319 Northland, God will be faithful at 70s Chalmers. God's going to be faithful in the Fruit Belt. God's going to be faithful downtown. As long as you're faithful in this place. I don't know who I'm talking to in this place. But as long as you're faithful in this place, as long as God keeps showing up in you, and as long as you stay faithful to him, I feel like preaching in this place, and y'all not even excited. That I want to tell you that I said that he had to be like chocolate among lions, right? Can I tell you something that's so good? That when the lions of the world begin to roar, the Lion of Judah roars louder. And as long as I'm faithful to him, I can always hear the roar of the Lion of Judah. And little do they know that when every attack comes against me, because I've been faithful to him, he's faithful to show up. I feel like preaching. I don't know what key that is, but Blair, you know. But if you need some examples, I lost my voice a little bit. I was at a graduation, I was screaming a little too loud. But if you look at the New Testament, Lord. And if you know how Jesus' story went, he was faithful to God for 33 years. And it was early on Friday morning that they took him up to Calvary's mountain. And it was a question mark about what was going to happen on Sunday. But early on Sunday morning, early on Sunday morning, there was Mary Magdalene, one of the chocolate chips, showed up at the tomb. And Jesus was not there. Because why do you look for the faithful among the dead? Because as long as you're faithful to him, he'll show up. As long as you stay chocolate, he'll show up. As long as you stay committed, he'll show up. As long as you stay righteous, he'll show up. And he'll start dropping you all over the world. This is cookie dough. Drop the chocolate. Stay committed. Stay faithful. Take your chocolate chip, toss it. Don't get blended in. Don't get mixed up with the world. But stay chocolate. When you are among lions, stay chocolate. Open up your mouth and say it. Oh yeah. Hold on. Wait a minute. Can I tell you something that's so good? That at the end of Daniel's book, King Nebuchadnezzar opens up his mouth and says, now all glory be unto Daniel's God. And I want to tell you that when you say committed to God, the lions that are in your workplace, the lions that are in your church, the lions that are in your school will begin to realize that God is real. And they're going to realize that God is real because God keeps showing up. And I want to tell you that God keeps showing up because you got something that he desires. God desires faithfulness above anything. Obedience is better than. So if that is the case, all I got to do is stay committed, stay connected, stay constant, and God will show up. Show up.
You know, we've got a neat idea that has been working in North Tonawanda, and then God brings us some friendships, right? And through those friendships, we're going to try something called Box of Hope Buffalo.
We're just spreading hope. 1 week after the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we're out here giving out Box of Hope.
We're passing out boxes, we're speaking and talking to our community, offering them a little hope. Some items within the box that will help their day go just a little bit better.
Toilet tissue, paper towels, toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, soap. We were able to form those boxes together and to go and now pass them out into the city.
We're thankful, we're grateful, and we're so honored to be able to partner with the chapel and Lumber City Church in this Box of Hope Buffalo East Side edition. But I believe that God is a healer. I believe that he is able to do anything. And this is the type of things that we ought to be doing. This is the type of things that we ought to get out into our community even the more. What we're really doing is trying to expand the kingdom of God. We're trying to let this community know that through some tangible items that Jesus Christ does love you, and Jesus Christ is here for them, and Jesus Christ died for them.
This is what kingdom looks like when it goes into the community.